polarization is supported like a pack of some more observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative has the floor, so take it. Travel to the door is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm in a form of face.
This is Tattoo with Children. I am your host, Flavor Ray and Seat A. Across from me in Seat B is Dread Private Benjamin, and across from both of us is Debonair Man About Town, CIO No Pain. All right, so getting into it, the shop was getting better.
Yeah.
And
we were learning at a much quicker rate.
And so because of the rate of improvement, the building itself began to fuck with us.
Yeah.
Like it was as if we were wearing a coat that was too small.
Yeah, I think it was Jesus, but you can say it that way.
Yeah, it was a situation where like this shop was great when we started it. This build was great when we started it. It is not great anymore. Like we have to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so we began the process, and I remember how much I fought this. Because I remember how hard it was to find the first building. I didn't want to find the second fucking building. That just was a nightmare thought to me. But it was all we had. And so we went out to find the second building. And we came across the exact same problems. They hadn't changed anything. No one wanted us anywhere. They were very confused about what we were even talking about. We knew we wanted a bigger space. We wanted a space that could be also have a different purpose. We wanted a place that was a tattoo shop, but also a place to hang out, also a place for our friends, and a place that we could have different things in there.
See, but that's one of the difficult things in the beginning too. One of the difficult things in the beginning is the fact that you want to do the work, right?
Right.
But you and I have always been about community space.
Yeah.
You and I have always been about gathering other humans, like-minded or not, and creating a safe space and a safe environment, mostly for the purpose of communication and dialogue.
Yes.
Because
we believe strongly that people are better when they can speak to one another.
And they can't speak to one another if they don't feel safe.
Right.
And so I think that was one of the early struggles were we building a tattoo shop? Or were we building a community space?
Build a community space. And we still wanted that option. And so we were looking around for the correct space, not having a whole lot of luck. And then Ben came across this building that was an old record shop, tow shop,
right,
for cars.
Right. And I think honestly it was just I was just backtracking back and forth, like running a grid, like 12 blocks from the coffee shop in every direction.
In every direction.
And I just happened to run by, I came down. I remember the first time I passed it, I think I came up Mantooth. Uh-huh. And then it wasn't until like an hour later that I came back down Herndon, which ran into Mantooth, and found it again. Uh-huh. And I was like, that has a for sale sign in the window. Like, surely not.
Right. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because it was, the building itself was not in great shape. Like,
I looked at it in terrible shape.
I looked at it the first time. It's like, what about this one? I'm like, this is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I want to jump in real quick though and remind us as well as the listeners, we're doing the best we can with our part, but we're leaving. There's a lot of details that we're not touching on, and I don't know if we'll need a part 3.
This is a huge actual story. Like to tell the complete story, like I'm taking myself almost completely out of it this point.
Yeah.
Because what was going on my end is literally a whole, at least an episode for me to tell you.
Well, and
about
then
what was happening with me.
then you got Big Thicket Brewery.
Yeah, Big Thicket was going on the same. Like
and
this
you got
story
Old Souls
so
Food
huge.
Truck. You got Furniture Fetish.
Yeah, at the time, Tom and Tom was doing Old Souls Food Truck, and
there were so many things happening that it's tough to hit them all, and the importance they played in us continuing.
The thing about it is the reason why it's that way is because we talked about downtown Lufkin. When Standpipe went into downtown Lufkin, Standpipe was the only thing that was there, and so because Standpipe stayed there, other businesses began to sort of crop up around Standpipe.
Right.
And at the time that we are moving from the Timberland location to our current location here on 302 Mantooth, literally downtown is exploding into businesses.
Right.
Like they're opening up all over the place.
Right.
And some of them are really good, and they were really having an effect on us.
Yeah.
And so everything that we were doing was kind of being affected by everything else that we were doing. And so this entire story is really, like, honestly, we talked about Katie. We had 2 more apprentices that came and went in that same time, and we got a 3rd.
Well, and the thing about it was, though, like, fucking Jace Carty, man.
Oh, God,
like,
Jace.
Like, how are you going to leave Jace out of, you know, the giant poster of Noah Gunderson?
Yeah.
Who I have since tattooed. The giant No Days Off poster, you know, the importance of running into Christian from 1924 and the guys down in Houston that were in the Heights.
Yeah, we got to talk about we should talk about the friendly people. We should talk about Lily Lewis.
Yeah.
And
the shiz.
The shiz that just basically, like, they honestly kept us going.
My name ain't Mikey, but yeah, I rock. You know why? Because I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter whether I'm cool or not.
And when I say keep us going, you and I were fighting a lot, actually, at this for a lot of this period. You know, there was a lot of, like, we both have huge egos, and things were going good sometimes and bad sometimes, and so we would clash.
Right.
And I remember a couple of times in particular that we were just ready to shut it down. You know, it was like, you know, just we tried it, it didn't work, let's move on. And I remember one time in particular, we were just, it was like right before the holidays. We were like, fuck it, you know, we're not going to go past the front of this year.
Right.
And Lily and Liz came down for the holidays. Mm-hmm. They wanted to spend the holidays in Lufkin.
Right.
And they maybe sensed it in the air or sensed it in the ley lines or sensed it in the psychic connections that we have, and just came down to the shop and gave us a performance, a musical performance that actually brought us together and let us know that we could keep doing it. And we didn't shut down the shop that time. You know, it was basically because of them. So we have a lot of people to thank for being here, and a lot of story to tell about it.
Right.
And that's this. It's a big enough. It's a big enough story if we tell everything that it could go on for several podcast episodes.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to give the impression to each other or the listener that, you know, you and I pulled ourselves up. You know, it sounds very Republican of us,
right?
And neither
we
of it
bootstrapped our way from the ghetto, into the stratosphere.
Right?
No, that's not what happened.
No, that's not what happened at all. Literally, what happened was like 900 people had to do the right thing.
Yeah.
For like me to stay alive that week.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was your wife. It was my wife. It was your kids.
Yeah, it was your kids. It was our daughter. You know, we've already told those stories of our daughters fighting in standpipe. I mean, it was that stuff happening during us, and I think that it almost to an extent it gave us a sense of comic relief.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like me and you'd be about ready to kill each other. You know, and we go back over to standpipe, and like Audrey and Ava would be like, "Fuck you, nah, fuck you." Like, you know, like even if they weren't saying "fuck you,"
they were.
You know, they were like super like hot at each other.
Right.
You know, they were just like, "I don't even like that drawing." You know, like, did you talk to that boy while I was in the bathroom? And it's like, girl, you're 4. What do you mean? Did she talk to like?
And so then, like, it was stuff like that would just keep us grounded. Because if you ever started a business, you can very much get into the mindset that everything that goes wrong in your business means that the world is wrong, that everything is wrong,
right?
And you start hating everything, and your soul, you're sulking everywhere that you go.
Right.
You know, you don't find joy in your friends, you don't find joy in your food, you don't find joy in anything, and we would get like that, and then something would happen. Is like, dude, what you need is just to go out to eat. You know, so you could fix this with a meal. Just we have an honest meal. Take somebody that you can talk to.
Right,
you know?
Right, exactly. Well, and then if it wasn't that, it was music.
Yes, music.
You know, you and I would walk back in on fucking Charlie Parr, you know, playing on that blues guitar, or Micah P. Henson, or as you mentioned, the Shiz.
The Shiz, or like Christopher Paul Stelling. God fucking bless my brother, Christopher Paul Stelling. he would come back to Lufkin, and he had no reason to do this.
Right.
He'd go to Lufkin and give us a show when we didn't deserve it,
Yeah.
and just work on us.
Do you remember? Did you know he has a new album out with
Yes.
produced by Ben Harper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I follow him on Instagram religiously.
Okay.
And that new album is going to be dope. Anybody who loves the old style troubadour, you know, a
Right.
guy with the guitar and a song.
Right.
That is Christopher Paul Stellier down to a T, and he does it better than anybody I've ever seen do it.
You know, I cannot fathom a better person to produce something like an old style troubadour than Ben fucking Harper.
Yeah, this album is going to be like I've heard some tracks off of it. It's going to be fucking fantastic.
So I'm on. I'm live streaming on Black Spot Tattoo Company right now, and we got a bunch of questions
Okay.
of what the name of the podcast is.
The name of the podcast is Tattoo with Children. That's what you're listening to, Tattoo with Children. We've been going a little bit now, so a little identification is probably necessary.
Well, that's true, but it also makes me realize that we're not doing a terribly good job of marketing.
No, not really.
Have we learned anything in 5 years, Ray?
For me in particular, like I'm still like I'm trying to get over my idea that I'm good at this. You know,
Okay.
like I'm trying to get that into my head so I can actually tell my family that I'm doing this. Like they don't really know,
Right.
you know, that I'm doing this. I haven't said anything on Facebook.
Right.
so-
That is like the question I hear most often. Like I was talking about something that Ben and I were talking about the other day, which is, you know, the categories in which we fit these things we're doing in our lives and the
Right.
levels of importance, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to describe this concept to my wife, right? And I said, you know, the podcast is in this second most important category or third most important category, and she's like, why? It doesn't make any money.
Right,
Nice.
right, which is that's perfectly valid. That makes all the sense in the world.
By the way, I love being live on Black Spot.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the responses of both of your wives right now live, and neither of you have any idea what the fuck is going on.
No.
That's
so
great.
basically, my life
is
is as it always
dangerous.
is.
Yeah,
This is so dangerous. So wait a
This
second,
is
wait a second.
great.
Now, I want to point out something. The previous live streams you've done,
Mm-hmm.
have they been on Black Spot or on Tattoo with Children?
No, they've been
On
on
Black
they've
Crow
been on
Brother.
Black Crow Brother.
On your personal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this is not a completely different audience, but potentially a much wider audience than what we're used to in live streams.
yeah. I'm hoping
You're-
that we get some listeners off of this
Right.
live stream.
That's
man.
fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So we found the building that we're currently in. It was in not great shape. Okay, there was a lot of structural difficulties with this building.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, this building was built in 1946 or 1947 for a gentleman named Ralph New.
Yes.
Now, if you talk about 1946 or 1947, one of the things you have to remember is we're coming straight off probably one of the greatest industrial production times that the world, not just the United States, but that the world has ever known.
Right.
Because we had this massive fucking war going on. So we have planes, and we had ships, and we had trains, and we have vehicles.
Steel production is
Right.
through the roof.
So
we have so much production capacity now after the war that
Right.
now we're going, well, what the fuck do we do with this?
Right, exactly. And so one of the things about this building is that if you walk through this building, it's almost entirely steel,
Yes.
which is fairly unusual for a car dealership. Now, it's not unusual for the modern car dealerships of today to have a lot of steel and a lot of glass.
Right.
But if you think about the 1970s until the 1990s, the 2000s, you've got a lot of buildings that are wood and brick. You've got
That
a lot
is
of
wood.
yeah, they're stucco. They're built in normal construction methods.
Right.
Well, this building in 1946 is almost entirely steel.
It's literally like a steel skeleton.
Yeah.
With stuff just hanging off of it.
Yeah, like you can literally burn this motherfucker down, and I can have it built next week.
Right.
Because there's so much steel in the brick, so much steel in the wood, that you're literally the bones will always be fine.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
So So this is a Ralph New started the first Oldsmobile dealership in Lufkin, Texas.
Yes,
There
and
was-
this was the location.
Yeah, and there was no loop.
Right.
There was no. I mean, like literally, it was the shit to be this close to Timberland, Frank Street, Reggae.
Exactly.
And then this little residential place right off of it called Mantooth.
Right.
That's probably, if you think about it, 2 blocks off the original Standpipe.
It's 2 blocks from original Standpipe, and it's right into the Gaslight District. Like, there's a park called Mantooth Park.
Right.
That's right next to what's called the Gaslight District. The Gaslight District was where the old houses that first got gas lighting in town were. Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about the old of the old money. You know, just like the oldest money in Lufkin started right in that era. And as a result, this location looks right down into the center of town. Mm-hmm. You know, it's right. It was basically, he built a car dealership at coming off of Lufkin Avenue, coming off of Frank Street. It was right in the heart of what would be what should have been the most economically viable commercial area of the city.
Right.
And it's something that it didn't end up developing that way in the future. Mm. But because of the layout of the city, this location still has that same aspect of it.
Yeah,
like you can still feel it. That is
Yeah.
like, you know, this is right next to the beating heart.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and there's a lot of it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit kind of in a weird way, I would say, post-apocalyptic, because you've got all these areas that were the center of industry, and now the rail yard's grown up. You can't find the you can't find where the trains parked. You can't find where the employees went to the store.
You can't find that lunch counter that used to be there. Like, you know, there's so many buildings that just went away. Mm-hmm. You know, and so if you look at it on a map, you look at it and you go, well, this is where everything is, and then you go out and you've realized that you're walking around woods.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like right behind the building, there's this little grown-up road that used to be something, but now it's so overgrown you can't tell if it was ever anything. Like, I'm sure Herndon must have been really busy back in the day.
Right, right.
And now it's like, you know, you go around that Herndon curve and there's nothing for 2 blocks.
Right.
You know, so it's one of those things that really appealed to me and Ben because we were always into places with character and places with a story. And so this was old Lufkin to us. This was old importance to us.
I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate about both of you, is that people might look at this area of Lufkin now and go, well, it is old, and there's not a lot going on there, and there's not, you know, it's run down, or it's this, it's that, you know, all these negative things about this area, and yet you two look at this and go, there's so much, as you said, character and opportunity in this particular place. It's like you guys feel something that most other people can't feel.
And because of that exact thing, it was zoned perfectly for a tattoo shop. Yeah. And so, like, everything just sort of fit. And the question then became, you know, trying to get everything together to get the loan necessary to buy it. And eventually, with a lot of big moves that were made, mostly by Ben. At this point, you know, like I said, I'll get around to me eventually. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I had pretty much removed myself from the operations of the company. Partly because we had shut down piercing, partially because Katie was rocking everything out in a major way.
Right.
And so there was really no reason for me to input all that often. It was just, I just had to come down when things were either needed to be signed or it was something that I was good at, like finding a building or discussing a way forward, things like that. And so I wasn't coming down here all that often.
Right. Well, and I think that was part of our growth too, though, because we talked about it earlier. At one point, we were trying to decide, like, are we making a tattoo shop? Are we building a tattoo shop, or are we building a community space? And everybody, anyone listening can go, well, from my perspective, those would be the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of one of the things, though, that you've experienced it directly.
Yeah.
But Mike hasn't. Mike hasn't experienced yet getting home. Okay, the kid needs the diaper change, the family needs the food, and the call comes in. Hey, head back to Standpipe. Head
Right.
back to Black Spot.
Right.
It's one thing to try to hold a community space, but it's another thing to not hold the correct boundaries for that community space to work properly.
Yes.
So that you can change those diapers. Right. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's not to say that you haven't experienced a lot of other things that I haven't.
Yeah, and they may even be in a similar vein.
And they may be
right.
It's
the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing as I literally feel like passing out from how many hours I've been awake.
Right.
Right.
And now I have to go back to the place I just left because the Lufkin police are calling me and saying some dude got beat up in the back alley and I have to let them see the videotapes.
Right.
It's like I don't have a choice. It's not, I can be like, yeah, I'll be there in the morning. The cops are like, nah, you'll be here in 15 minutes or we're bringing this dude to your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was shit like that all the time. And it's like literally, like this is one place where I call myself out all the time. It's like, dude, like a lot of this shit, particularly at this point of the story, a lot of this I absolutely just abdicated to you. Like, like I could have done more work in this area, in this area of the transition, and I didn't because you were giving me the room to handle some other things.
And I think that's such an important thing.
I agree. I was just going to say, like, I'm involved in this podcast, but people will notice that for the vast majority of the story,
right.
There's zero, well, where the hell does CIO Payne come into all of this, right?
Right.
And the truth of the matter is...
most of them recognize the truth that we've already implemented our plan to cut you out. But,
right.
But continue.
Yeah, we've been through that in previous episodes. So, but the reality of it is, what I feel like Flavor Ray is describing here is similar to what I went through years prior and was still going through at this time in the story, which was I had a mission. And that mission required me to do it myself, not with anybody else.
Right.
So I was off on my own, doing my own thing. Right. And should you guys not cut me out of this completely, we'll hear that story at some point. Right?
Well, and I think that's the great thing about it is the great thing about it is, from my perspective, the fact that you guys could trust me enough to go, okay, so we don't want to leave. We don't want to, we don't want to necessarily go the route you're saying, but we also recognize that, because I remember the conversations we were having at the time, and it was very, especially for me and you, Ray, it's like, look, I'm going to be real with you. This isn't so much about you.
Right.
This is actually about me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was very much like I can't do this if we're going to keep trying to do this the same way we've done it before.
Right.
It's not going to work because I can't work that way.
Yeah.
It says so we have a choice. Either we come up with something completely different to try and make it work the way we both work, or you're going to have to give me the room in order to make this work the way that I work.
Well, and also you're going to have to give, and I think that's something, Mike, that you're starting to understand now. At the time when I sent you on a different mission, it sounded like to you that it was all for you.
Right.
But the reality of it was there was a lot of growth that wasn't going to happen in me if you were there. And it's a very nuanced thing to say.
It's hard for people to understand in their own personality type sometimes. And back then, when you originally sent me on the mission, to me it wasn't you were sending me on a mission, right?
Right.
Right.
To me, because of where I was at in life, it was go away.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't care what
Right.
you do.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know. So that particular kind of trust, you're right. It is hard and it is very nuanced. But it was a do your thing, go on your mission, not just so that you can grow, but that so we can too, and come back together at another time.
That's basically exactly what it was.
Right.
Because I kept thinking, said, well, I don't want to abandon Ben to all of this drama.
Right.
But the truth is, if Ben had failed miserably, it was necessary.
Right.
If you're going to succeed, you're going to have to do it this way because it's necessary. Otherwise, if you succeed a different way, you're not going to be where you need to be
Right.
when something else happens. Like, it has to be done this way.
Yeah, I think it's just such an interesting thing that, you know, and then, you know, at the time that Tom and I are over here every day. So,
Right.
So to get back into the story of Black Spot, Mike's been gone, you've been gone.
Yeah.
But Sarah, my wife, has come on and
Yeah.
she started to learn to tattoo. She's in a transition.
She had Sarah had came on before the actual move over. She had
Right.
came in as kind of a partial shop manager, I would say.
Pretty much. Like she was trying, like we kept noticing that the problems that we were having was we were having these problems of being just completely like artistic and inconsistent.
Yeah.
So in other words,
Particularly in the gatekeeping and the pricing. Like that was
yeah, like we're doing great fucking tattoos,
Yeah.
right? But we're like charging $12.
And I'm like, and this is one of the things we fought about more than anything is I'm literally screaming at you and Katie, stop discounting the fucking tattoos.
Right.
And you're like, well, if I don't care about Ben, stop discounting the fucking tattoos. And it was
Right.
going over and over again. And I just couldn't keep saying it.
Right.
You know, and so Sarah comes over and she has that ability to, at the counter, if you know Sarah, she'll say, hey, the tattoos is this price. And he'll say, well, I don't have that. And Sarah, oh, that's fine. We'll get the fuck out. And her face hasn't changed. You know, like, and so the guy has no choice. To get past Sarah, he's going to have to come out with the money. And so we saw the profit go up as soon as she started hanging out at the shop.
And now you know why Sarah's an executive consultant for Pain Points.
There you go. It was like it's something that was very necessary. And so when that transition over happened, it was you, it was Katie, it was Sarah, it was Tom, and I came over periodically as support staff.
Yeah, but that's what was interesting. So Sarah and Katie are like holding down the shop.
Yeah.
They're basically every day up on North Timberland. They are keeping the shop going, working on standard operating procedures, as well as doing tattoos and drawing artwork.
Yes.
Okay. So Tom and I, Old Souls Food Truck, we leave to come over here to start renovating this
To start building the building.
Yeah,
Because
so-
there's not enough money to hire a crew to do the whole thing.
No, I mean, there's not very much money anyway, and also this building was in terrible shape.
And it was rough. Okay, so it was gonna if we had like said, hey, come in here and do the whole thing, it would have
Yeah.
been like $200,000.
Well, and also like what most people don't realize is we have a 9,000 square foot building here.
Yeah,
We're only using 1,800 square feet of it for the tattoo shop.
right.
All 9,000 square feet is full of 4 foot of trash,
Yes,
wall to wall trash.
it had to be hauled out.
Dude, this fucking live video stuff is so goddamn weird.
How so? Is it not working? Is
Yeah,
it
like
going
half
in
the
and out?
time it'll work. By the way, Joe Rogan just said how to eat candy corn. Open bag,
Yeah,
pour candy corn into trash can.
eat the bag.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Fucking Joe Rogan.
I agree with everything you just
I
said.
love that dude so much.
Fucking Joe Rogan.
All right,
okay.
I'm gonna try to jump over to Facebook and do some there because Instagram's fucking,
Instagram not working.
yeah, Instagram's not fucking with me right now. So anyway,
Okay, so there's a lot of when we say a lot of trash, we're not talking about just the stuff that is obviously trash. We're talking also about the counter that was in here is trash. The paneling that's up is trash. Like a lot of the ceiling is trash. It's like
Right.
all this shit's got to come out.
Right.
You know? And so Ben's up here every day, morning to midnight.
Yeah, I feel
doing
like
this.
I feel like Tom and I would get here. We'd either meet around 7 or 8, sometimes 9. Well, no, I might have been in the tattoo lifestyle by then. So get here by 10 and work till 10.
Yeah.
You know,
it was like
something-
12,
yeah.
12 hours of basically demo work.
Yeah, well, demo work and like picking up trash.
Yeah.
You know, like just complete utter bullshit. You know,
And so,
like
and I would come over and help, and you know, and it was all getting done, but Ben and Tom are doing the lion's share for sure, and we had some help from our friends over at I forgot the name of the company, the spray foam. Give me the name of the company.
Right Way Insulation.
Right Way Insulation.
Yeah, Jeb.
Jeb, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeff Springer was helping us out as much as he could.
Right.
And it was all coming together. The more we clear it out, the vision of the shop started to come together.
Right.
And then that was probably the only spots that I was really helpful.
Right.
Was in trying to come up with the vision for what the shop would look like and what it would be. And as that process kept coming together, we would have a whole long discussion about what to do about the look and about where we're going to go forward. And then I would leave and come back the next day at the same time, and you had implemented that vision in a physical form. Like it would be like, no, this design against this wall or this area. And so it was beautiful to experience because it felt as if a dream would become a reality at that time.
Yeah, it did. I think the notion, you know, the notion that like we put together this badass room and all this stuff, but it kind of goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago, like the idea that it didn't take, you know, 30 people. It took me and Tom every day, but the idea that it, you know, like Jeb didn't drop by, or the idea that Sarah and Katie would come over with food.
Right.
The idea that you would show up just when Tom and I were about to give out.
Right when they were.
Let's be totally real. Tom's never been about to give out, but like everyone else has been about to give out.
Yeah, it was. I would show up, and Tom literally has a look on his face as if he does this, you know, every day.
Yeah, it's just like normal.
Like it's just completely normal. And Ben is on the side on a wall.
Yeah.
Wondering if he's gonna survive the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me just roll up my sleeves. And
Yeah, Ray would be like, "Hey, man, you want to come get a water?" And I was like, "No, but you could bring me a water. Like that'd be great."
yeah. Shit like that was happening all the time.
Right.
And so I would like grab a sledgehammer and take down a wall and
How long? So it took us what? Maybe 3-4 months to get
Yeah.
this building renovated.
I would say so.
To get things cleaned up.
Yeah, just to get it out. We had dumpsters, we had like 2 dumpsters or 2 or 3 dumpsters running out of here like almost 24 hours a day for probably 2 months.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it was like the amount of trash people was unbelievable. Like it really was.
Yeah,
it was startling.
It was pretty crazy. We so after that, let's see. So but at that point, all we had done was gotten the front room.
Yeah.
The front room was clean.
Yeah.
The front room was ready to be used. And so we had an event, and we started. We you know, I think you came to that event.
I did kind of. Me
and
my wife
Mike
both came to the event.
and Mike and his wife came, and Mike got a tattoo that night.
Honestly, this place was full. This place was packed.
It was great. And
I've got a great video of that particular party and some pictures of that party.
You had a lot of eyes on you that night, Mike.
I did, and they were probably all scarred for life because my shirt was off. So
Yeah.
that was a new experience for me at the time, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was one of my first reintroductions back into everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'd come visit
I
the
would
shop
say
on
that
Timberland,
that
but that was the start.
event, that party, was probably the beginning, the true beginning of the Hidden Village.
Right.
You know, it was like because everyone at that party had a feeling that they were in a different place. You know, like this is like you start out in Lufkin, you walk through the doors, and now you're in the Hidden Village.
Right.
And it really had that feel, and we knew at that point that we were on the right track. Even the people who would normally be detractors felt it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so there was no one there that wasn't a friend.
Right.
And yeah, from that point on, it was all about, it's like, oh, you have the building, you have the plan. Now this is all about execution from this point forward.
Right.
And so everyone go and do the thing you're just supposed to do. Like, you know, Ray, you go off back, do the things that you're supposed to do. Take care of your family, get everything straight. Again, I'm going to talk about what I was doing. Get everything straight, and then once you're straight, come back and we'll talk.
Right.
You know, that is your mission. You know, at the time, Mike, you have a business that you're working on. You got some work to do. Go off, do that work. Don't come back down here. See, this was the important part. This is the part that people really, that they'll hear it and think that either you were an asshole or I was an asshole or the whole situation was wrong.
Right.
The rule was for everyone everyone in earshot. Don't come down here if you don't have a reason.
Right.
You know, because this is all about execution. And it has nothing to do with how you feel about the person as a person. It's got nothing to do with fucking friendship. You know, that was the big part. Like, I had a lot of pushback from my wife and your wife.
Right.
About, like, you know, this being about, you know, you're not treating your friends properly.
Right.
It's like, this isn't about friendship. This is about the fact that the work has to be done, and if you're not doing work, then you're doing something that's not work in a place where work needs to be done.
I
Right.
think that was the biggest issue for me to get over initially when I went on my mission and further down the line is something I always have to keep in mind. I want to do work,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but the work that I do is not always what my people who I call friends, what people who I call brothers need at that time.
Right. And if
Yeah.
you don't need it at that time, then the kindest thing you could do, the most brotherly thing you could do is stay away.
Right.
Exactly.
And getting that, like, I understood that, and so I stayed away, but getting other people to understand that was a struggle. Like, you know, because they're watching from the outside, and they're thinking that, you know, oh, Ben pushed you out, or oh, you know, abandoned the, or like, you know, or they would you would have stories about, well, what you guys sold standpipe to the Chinese, you know,
Right.
like all
Right.
this shit was going around town. People were saying all kinds of shit.
Well, and that's, you know, that's what's funny about it is that, you know, I know we're really trying to wrap this up, or we probably need to and reset for another time. But
Maybe, I don't know.
But here's the thing. People always have opinions about what you're doing from the outside.
Uh-huh.
People always have opinions on what you look like.
Right.
People always have opinions on what it looks like you're doing.
Right.
And they almost never take the time to observe first. See, I didn't say go to empathy. I didn't say consider my perspective.
Right.
What I said was fucking observe what I'm doing.
Right.
So, for instance, a lot of people go, the coffee shop is awesome, but they never say, hey, Ben, when's the last time you had a day off?
Right.
They never say, hey, Ray, when's the last time you slept for 6 hours?
Right.
They just give opinions.
Yeah.
And so I'm not even asking for empathy. I'm just asking us as a people to recognize that we haven't even asked 3 or 4 questions yet.
Right.
You know, somebody will get mad at me today and they'll be like, hey, man, I saw you cuss that kid out earlier. You know, I don't think that was called for.
Yeah.
And I want to go, did you consider asking why I was cursing him out?
Right.
It's so funny because I actually brought this up yesterday with someone, where we're talking about what someone about changing their business in a way that's good for them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're cool or honest, if the coin is all present, better lose a box. Doesn't matter if you're cool or honest, if the coin is all present, better lose a box. Doesn't matter if
And the thing about it is they want to bring someone else in, and they have certain expectations. You know, when you hire somebody, you have certain expectations. And I said, well, what really are your expectations in this? And we turned it around and finally came up with the question that the thing is, people do not ask themselves in their own business questions before they make a decision. And so you're seeing that same effect in other people where they're immediately jumping to a conclusion that this is not deserved. You know, yelling this person's not deserved.
Yeah.
And yet they refuse to even ask themselves the right questions, or any question for that matter.
Yeah, right. I think you're right. I just don't think it's not just business.
No, it's not.
It's everything.
It's
in other
everything.
words, they're going, hey, I'm hungry, right? And so they go eat. They never thought critically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to eat?
Where do you want
How
to
much
eat?
time do you have to eat? How much money is in the bank
Right.
to eat? Are there other people that I am responsible for that need to eat also?
Right. Who else needs to eat besides me? And so, all that to say, like, there was more going on than what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah.
So people would say, you haven't been down to Black Spot in, a month, 2 months, 3 months. And I would have just left Black Spot 5 minutes ago after having a 3-hour conversation. Mm-hmm. And it happened like that a lot. Because what would happen is, like, I wasn't working there every day, but Ben would if something happened, he would contact me and say, listen, we need to talk about this. Or something happened, you need to be aware of this. And we had periodic meetings. And so eventually it got around to the shop had kept growing to the extent that there started to be more work that needed to be done,
Right.
and some work that didn't need to be done anymore.
Right.
And so then other people who were at the shop
Right.
were then told, okay, you have to find other work because
or you have to get sent on a mission.
you have to get
for
sent on
now.
a mission for now. Like it was the same story. Like you're not being sent away. It's just that the work that's being done now is different than the work that we need you to do. Mm-hmm. So the effect there was, okay, other work needs to be done. We need to get people to do that. And so eventually I came back into the shop not to do what I was doing, but to do something else. And then Mike was brought in the shop to do something else. And it's going to be that way for anybody that's in the village. When it's time to do the work, that's what we're here to do.
Right.
That makes sense to people.
And I think I think to put a finer point on it, quite frankly, you should expect it.
Yeah, this is what you should want.
In other words, yeah, Ray, I know you're enjoying this.
Yeah.
You're going back out again.
Right.
I
So
don't-
you're having a great time right now.
Yeah, it's good. It's fucking good, man. I fucking love it too.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I know. You're gonna be going on a mission again.
Yeah.
So today, right now, the mission's here.
Right.
But the thing is, it could be tomorrow, it could be a month, it could be 11 years. And that's everything about being ready.
Yeah. If you're hanging with us, it's going to happen, and when it happens, all you got to be is ready.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And the thing is, we can tell you, I mean, like, people, they misunderstand, man. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Dude,
I've sent Ben on 3 missions.
Yeah. Like it's not a matter of who comes up with the idea. It's a matter of what has to be done, because I've got another. If I run, I don't want to talk about if I run like I've been running, because I've been running fucking good.
Yeah.
From day one, but like if I run half as good as I've been running, I'm gonna live another 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm just at halftime, man. I know I got shit to go through. I know shit's gonna change, but I feel good.
And this goes out to everybody that we know.
Yeah.
Say, guys, we are right in the middle of our beginning phase.
Yeah, this is this is a piece of the origin story from one perspective, but it's also hey, listen up. This is where we're at.
Yeah.
The origin story is still being written.
We're still writing the origin story right now. This podcast is a part of the origin story.
Yeah.
Which is
we don't
why
even know if we've gotten bit by the spider yet.
Right.
To make
Right.
that comparison.
Yeah, exactly. We don't.
we just
Because
feel a
it-
tingle.
because
We don't.
it-
What is that tingle?
What is the tingle?
Because in 4 or 5 days, we may absolutely go, hey, this podcast is a piece of shit. We got to do something else.
You guys,
Sure.
you guys honestly don't know how many times I've legitimately asked myself that question, though. What is this tingle?
What is
that
this?
question gets asked far more in my life than I thought it ever would be.
Well,
It's probably-
Mike. You should see a doctor.
Yeah, I mean that probably
I
has
mean, that's-
something. That probably has something to do with your personal choices,
You're running in a different crowd than I am.
or being from New Jersey.
And
Does everyone from New Jersey feel the tingle you imagine, Ray?
I think the ones that are buying those condoms in the
subway?
bathrooms.
why does this have to go back to my penis?
Because that's where you brought it, Mike. I know what you're talking about.
I didn't bring it
Like
back
I
to
can
the
absolutely
penis.
read between Mike's lines. He's talking about his penis right now.
Okay, but see, this is where I'm going to practice what I preach. I'm going to ask
Ask him.
ask questions.
You see,
Mike-
Ray just assumed it was about my penis.
Mike, does it have to do with other people's penises?
On that note, this has been Tattooed with Motherfucking Children. No, it's been Tattooed with Children. You can find Tattooed with Children at Facebook at Tattooed with Children. You can find us on IG at Tattooed with Children. And you can find it on Twitter at Tattooed with. I'm not going to say that last part. Okay, normally this is where I would reply with fuck Jack, but I'm not going to say that anymore. And there's a reason why, and I'll get to the reason why in the next podcast. But I'm no longer going to say fuck Jack. Instead, I'm going to say thank you, Jack, for your efforts. And you can find me at IG, at Madara Shadow, and on Twitter, at Hunter Vanguard. That's one word, Hunter Vanguard. You can find Ben at Black Crow Brother on IG and at Black Spot Tattoo Company. And you can find Mike Payne at CIO Payne and at Payne.points. Now that is Payne spelled Payne. Payne, okay? All right, guys, that was a hell of a show. It was a long one. It could be multiple parts. I'm not sure how we're going to do it. But this was a good exercise, I thought, to get into our recorded library. And we will see you next time.
Love you.
Love
Later.
you guys.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap at the core is